5, President Trump is set to deliver his first State of the Union address tomorrow night.
When he addresses the country, many will be watching to see if the president will stay on script, touting American strengths and values. News 6 anchor Ginger Gadsden got the chance this weekend to sit down with CBS This Morning co-host John Dickerson. He just made it there. He is in Orlando to conduct some focus groups. Ginger, what did he have to say to you about that?
He really had a lot to say. He was in town for just a brief moment, a very quick trip. He said he wanted to know what Americans are feeling 1 year into the Trump presidency. I wanted to know why he chose Central Florida to gauge that answer.
We wanted a year into the Trump presidency to go somewhere in the country where there's a swing in a swing state and a swing area in a swing state. And of course, Orlando and the I-4 corridor, that's a crucial place in any American political conversation to find voters who supported the president, didn't support him, but now do, and people with changing minds who are evaluating the presidency to get a look a year into the Trump presidency at what people think about how he's doing.
Dickerson tells me he wanted to hear from a cross-section of voters, people who supported Trump, those who voted against him, and people who were lukewarm about Trump at first, but are now solidly backing him.
One of the great things about these focus groups is you get people talking in real ways about the way they feel about politics. And we tend to pass around a lot of familiar phrases when we assess politics, but when you talk to real voters about their real lives, you get a kind of deeper sense of the way people connect to their government and the way people connect to their president.
Do you feel sitting down with folks face to face in their towns, in their communities, you get a better assessment of what's really happening?
You can't get too good of an assessment when you're talking to just a handful of people, but what you do is get some insight into the way people think about politics, the way they connect with a leader, and often what you find is that people in the real world, they're not focused on every darn minute of this presidency. They take snapshots in their mind, develop opinions about things that are very different than the way we talk about politics in Washington. So it may not be representative of the whole country or anything, but it is a window into and a new way of looking at politics and the president.
Now, Dickerson says he believes there is a lot of interest in what Mr. Trump will say tomorrow night because he is such an improvisational president. And guys saying the State of the Union will make news even if it is a traditional and boring speech, mainly because that means President Trump will have stayed on script, which is, you know, unlike him. But people will be watching because by chance he should not stay to script. People don't want to miss what he might possibly say. That could also be a newsmaking event as well.
And I'm curious to hear what came out of that focus group, what some local voters had to say about the State of the Union right now.
Yeah, but don't you think it's fascinating that of all the states he could have gone to, he chose right here in Central
Florida?
Not a
huge surprise.
It does. But you know, there's Texas too.
That's true. Ginger Gadsden, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, you can watch the State of the Union tomorrow here on News 6 and at clickorlando.com. It begins at 9. You can also hear more from Ginger's interview with John Dickerson throughout the week. Coming up on Thursday, we hear from Dickerson on his new role at CBS This Morning and how his mom paved the way for women in broadcasting.